Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you guys are having a great Wednesday. So today was a kind of interesting day in the markets. Bitcoin was up a little bit. Miners were killing it today, which was really good news, obviously, for all of us that are invested in miners. But we'll take a look at what's going on there, how much they're up already, and then we'll take a look at just really quick, what if the miners did the same thing as they did this year as far as percentage gains into 2024? Where could the prices of the stocks be at that point? And then we'll also look at the averages across the board. What would that be as well? So quite a few things to go over here, but as always, thank you so much for coming in to watch this video. And then, as always, you guys know the drill here. This is not financial advice for entertainment only. Please do your own research and invest in the following coins and companies for full disclosure. And if you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out tremendously. And let's take a look at Bitcoin here. And I mean, as we really didn't have any news today, other than MicroStrategy buying another, 16,000 something Bitcoin. I mean, they're just stacking on top of the stacks that they already have. So that was obviously good news. Bitcoin liked it. So Bitcoin was up today approximately 2.26%. It closed out at 43,474. And the miners, when we look at those look like they are just, people are FOMOing into them right now. To some of these at least, that were kind of lower, being down, didn't go up as much as some of the other ones, but you can see it here. Annie was up 31% to $4.01, really for really no reason there. Argo, same thing, was up 9.33%. BitDigital up 18.57%. They reached a new high as well today. So did, it looks like, if we look at the year to date or 1 year chart, yeah, Any got a new 52-week high. So that's good there. Same thing with Argo. BitDigital, same thing. BitDeer got close to it. They were up 19.49% today to $13.67. Bitfarm was up 8.33% again. I mean, they're still way above their 52-week high here prior. So that's good there. They were at $3.51. Cypher was up 5.82% to $5.27. They reached a new 52-week high here. CleanSpark was up 14.4%. Excuse me, to $13.43. They're way above their previous 52-week high, which was over here. And then we got Cores up huge again today, 26.91% on the day. It's up to $1.91 now. So it's nicely way above their 52 prior, which was back in July. DigiHost was up 19.62% to $2.50, and they are pretty close to their pre-52-week high, so they're kind of even with it right now. DMG was up 12.15% to 57 cents. They're way above their 52-week prior here, which was also in July. Greenwich was up 26.05% to $8.37. They still have not surpassed their prior 52-week high, which was back here in January, it looks like, of this year. Then we got Hive was up 11.72% to $5.72. It's still below its 52-week high. Hut 8 was up 16.04% to $18.13. Excuse me. And they're still below the 52-week highs here. Iris Energy up another 8.76% to $9.56. They are way up. Excuse me again. Way up past their 52-week high here prior, which was in July. Marathon was up 15.24%. It's at $31.07 now. I mean, Marathon has been killing it here lately. You can see nothing but green candles all the way up here to $31.07. And their previous 52-week high was back in July, so they definitely surpassed that. Mawson was up huge, 46.1%. Look at that candle here. I mean, that is just insane based on there's really no news for them to warrant this. Plus, there are some issues with some of these companies as well. Mawson has quite a bit of debt. They have pretty small mining operations as it is. They do also host. But, man, that going up 46% is just crazy here. Riot up 7.32%. Riot seems to be like the one, well, it wasn't the only one that was kind of lagging here. Riot and Cypher were kind of lagging a little bit along with Bitfarms. And then they closed at $18.62. They're still below their 52-week highs, which were reached in July. Soluna was up 24% today to $4.26. It is still way below their prior 52-week highs, which were back here when you adjusted for the reverse stock split. They were much higher at that point as it is. And then we got Stronghold up 19.68% to $11.31. They're still below their 52-week highs, which were reached in April of this year. Then we got Wolf up 29.73% to $2.88, and they're still way below their 52-week highs, which were reached in July. All right, so a lot of the miners that we are seeing here get huge gains are like the ones that were below their 52-week highs, where some of the other ones that were already above their 52-week highs are not getting such huge gains here. But it's like investors are FOMOing into this, knowing that the possibility of the spot Bitcoin ETF coming up here shortly, and then we got the halving event coming up as well. We may have also interest rates get cut as well, come sometime in Q2 and Q3 of this next year. So we all have all this good news pushing the price of Bitcoin up, the miners up as well, which is just great to see. And it's happening a heck of a lot faster than I anticipated to happen. I didn't anticipate we were going to be anywhere near this until possibly after the halving event. But I think that the spot Bitcoin ETF is having a tremendous push on not only Bitcoin, but the miners themselves as well, because they're going to be generating more, plus the Bitcoin transaction fees on top of it. And you have this kind of like a perfect storm of everything being positive for the miners. And that's why they're pumping right now really good. So this is all good news, and we'll see how this is going to continue on. But I think this is going to continue on until maybe the spot Bitcoin ETF is approved. At that point, we may have a little bit of a sell-off. Some are saying that might happen, but by the rumor, sell the news. And then after that, we may start going back up, where Bitcoin's going to go up after the halving event. Miners continue to go up, and so on. All right. So based on that, we know that the miners pretty much, they pretty much bottomed out last year right around this time frame at the end of December, early January. So I wanted to see what their performance has been like since then. And when we look at it here on this chart, or not just chart, but the table, we can see where they were last year at this time and where they are right now as of today. And then what is that, not really percentage gain, but X, right? So what did they get? Did they get 5X, 6X, 7X, 8X, whatever it was? What did they actually improve their stock price per? Okay, so we'll go through the list here. We'll go in order, basically, the way they are right now. I probably could do this in alphabetical order, but we'll just go the way it is. And then some things to point out. So stock price here is as of today. We got the market cap as of today as well. We got the symbol, obviously, for HUT. And then we're going back to 12/27 of 2022. What was their stock price then? And then we're looking at what is their stock price now? What is that multiple there? So for them, HUT 8 is 4.6. And then if they repeat that again this coming year, into 2024, right? So with the current stock price of $8.13, multiply that times 4.6, you get $83.43. That would be a new market cap of $7.3 billion for them, right? Some of these are definitely, I think, went up a lot more than others, right? So I don't know if that's going to happen again this time next year. And then we'll also take a look at the average here. So the average here is 5.84x overall on these, and that's not including Core. Core was in bankruptcy. Right, the stock went down all the way down to 9 cents because of it. And then it's obviously been pumping really hard. So this year they're up 21, basically X from where they bottomed out. So I don't think that's going to be a common theme that we're going to see here. So I didn't include that in my averages here. So 5.84X is kind of the average across the board when we look at all these numbers here. And then with that, we would get HUT 8 to $105 per share and a market cap of 9.3 billion, which I think is pretty good, pretty close to where I think they should be really valued based on the hodl that they have, the growth with merger with USBTC, and the growth that they possibly might have as well. So I think this is a pretty close, fair number where things might look at. Okay, and then we're looking at the percentage gains here potentially for this would be 2,687% up from their bottom here of the year in 2022 in December. Okay. So we'll go across the board here, look at them. We'll discuss each one here a little bit. If there's any caveats that I think are needed to be pointed out, we'll just go through the list and call it a day. All right, so that was HUT 8 here. You can kind of see where that stacks up. Next is going to be Riot here. So Riot bottomed out at $3.42 of last year. They are now a 5.4x from then. Right, so that's good, good move up. If they repeat that again next year, they would be $101 per share, 20.1 billion roughly in market cap, which would be pretty good, I think, depending on how much they grow next year and if they dilute, right? So same goes for all these companies. If they grow and they dilute, they might be up higher, might be a little bit lower based on, at least in the stock price. If they dilute, stock price could be a little bit lower than this, but the market cap still should be pretty close to that, right? And then if we use the 5.84x on them, they would get to 108, so a little bit better here. They would get to 22.4 billion market cap, and that would be a 3,179% increase from basically 2 years ago, right? So we're looking at the bottom of 2022 in December, and then we're getting that number there. Next, the Cypher. So Cypher bottomed out at 51 cents. They're currently at $5.27. That's a 10.37 increase here. This is probably the best one here out of them all, except for Core. Core, we said, was in bankruptcy. That could get into about $54.67 and a market cap of 13.9, so roughly 14 billion. Depending where Cypher grows, I don't know if they're going to be able to reach that. That seems a little bit high here. Right now, I should have probably included the market caps, or not the market caps, but the future hash rate growth for all of these to kind compare those two. But this is kind of what we have right now for everyone here. I could, give me a second here. We'll get this added in here because I think that might be actually interesting to take a look at. So if we look at our mining numbers comparison here, we have these in the same order. If we look at where's future hash rate, there it is. Let's copy that over and we'll put it into our sheet here really quick. Let's see if this works out. If this works out, this is gonna be fantastic. And we're getting an error here. Well, let's see if we can just paste the values here. Edit, paste formula results. And we don't want it in percentages, we want it in actual numbers. So we want a number there. Okay, that seems right. Bit dear, okay, yep, 20, 12. Okay, so that takes care of that. So we can actually see what their future exahash is going to be like. Future exahash. Okay. So Cypher is going to get to, is that correct? Cypher? I'm trying to think here. Future hash rate 15.6, and that is based on, I want to make sure I get that right. How the heck did I get 15.6? Based on all of this. Oh, and minor T21s. Okay. So there's that additional here that I forgot about that was being added in here. So that would get them to 15.6. Okay, so correction here. So actually Cypher would be at 15.6 if they get the miners in the first half of 2025 sometime. They do have the option to buy miners in 2024, about 8 exahash, I think, from where they are right now. And they are currently at, don't include that in here, that's 7. So they're approximately, what is that going to be? About 8.6 total. So for their own, it's going to be approximately 7 point something. So they'll get them too close to about the same number here. But they do have that option there. Let's see here, delivery generate. Yep. Okay. So that's the correction there. So just wanted to point that out. So that's not really actual numbers. So we're looking at maybe they could get to this number, but it's really unknown yet. Okay. So with them being at $30 then and 78 cents with the 5.84x increase, that would get them to 7.8 billion. But if they get to 15 exahash or close to that, I think they could definitely get more, probably maybe closer to the 13 point or the 14 billion here. Okay. So a lot of caveats to all of these miners here. Okay. Hive ended up last year at $1.50. They're currently at $5.72. They're up 3.81x roughly. That might be like one of the lowest ones, other than maybe there's a couple of lower ones here, but pretty close to the bottom here as far as multiples increases. If they repeat that again, they could get to $21.81. That would give them a market cap of 1.8 billion. They're supposed to get to about 7 exahash. They are working towards getting to, I believe, 10 exahash in total that they're planning to get to by the having events somewhere around there. So that would give them a market cap here, if we use the 5.84 to $33 and 2.8 billion market cap, which would be a 2,227% increase on them. Okay. Next, Marathon. Marathon bottomed out at $3.24. They went up to $31.07 today. That is a 9.59x increase on them. That's a huge increase for them. If that repeats into 2024, this shows me that they would be at like $300 per stock. That seems really, really high with a market cap of 66 billion. Is it possible? Yes, maybe a little bit unlikely, but it is possible depending on how much FOMO we get, everything else. More likely, I think they're going to be probably valued closer to this, right around maybe $181 and 40. Market cap would be around 40.4 billion on that, and that would still be a 5,600% increase from where they were, which we saw last cycle. They were up at 1.7,000%. So could that be happening this time around? Could be, right? I'm not saying it will, but I'm saying that it is a possibility based on this. Oops, sorry. And then when we look at the percentage or future hash rate, 30.3 right now. They do have the possibility to get to maybe about 50 exahash, but that's maybe down the road in 2025, 2026 sometime in that time frame. Okay, next is DigiHost. DigiHost bottomed out at 38 cents here. They're currently at 2,050 cents. They're up 6.6x from that. Future-wise, if we look at it, they could be at $16.49 with a market cap of 473 million. I think that might be actually pretty fair. They're pretty small. They're going to be going to maybe 2 exahash in the next year or so. And then if we look at the average here for all of these, the 5.84, they would be at $14.60 with a market cap of 418 million, and that would be still a 3,852% increase on them. And like right now, I have them at 1 exahash, right? So, but we know that they're going to probably try to grow a little bit. Don't know how much. So that kind of makes sense there. Iris Energy bottomed out at $1.17 here. They're currently at $9.55. They're up 8.16x from the bottom. If they repeat that again next year, they would be at $77.95 with a market cap of 5.2 billion here. And if we use the average multiple, that would be at $55.77. That would be giving 3.7 billion market cap, and that would be 4,766 increase in them. And their future hash rate is supposed to be 10 exahash. So based on that hash rate there, I think they should probably catch more. I wouldn't be surprised if they get closer to maybe, I would say maybe, gosh, probably closer to like 8 billion or something like that, maybe, right? Based on the hash rate. If they get to that by the end of, by the end of 2024, and Bitcoin's going up quite nicely, we might be able to get there. But I think 3.7 billion right now is a little low for them for where they are going to be going to. Okay. We've seen obviously huge gains here in Iris Energy over the last couple of days and maybe a week or two. So I think this might be a little below. Argo bottomed out at 54 cents. They're currently at $3.75. That's a 6.96x increase. Going forward next year, if they double it, if they repeat that, actually, that would be at $26 and a market cap of 1.5 billion. If we use the average multiple, they would be at 21.90 with a 1.2 billion market cap, and they're only at 2.8 exahash. Don't know how they're going to be growing and going into 2024. They haven't provided any news on buying miners or anything like that. I think that might be pretty fair value for them at that point. But yeah, we'll have to see on that one. That one's kind of tricky because the thing with Argo is they're basically hosting most of the miners that they do have with Galaxy Digital. When they sold the facility, I think it was called Helios that they sold to Galaxy Digital this year to get out of debt. So I don't know. We'll have to see on that one. That one's kind of tricky as far as I don't know where that one might go. Okay. Next is going to be here BitDigital. BitDigital bottomed out at 54 cents. They're currently at $4.98. That's a 9.15x multiple for them. And if we repeat that again, they would be at $45 with a 4.1 billion market cap on them. And they're supposed to be they're supposed to be growing double next year. They didn't provide what they're going to be growing to or what they're buying, but they did say that they want to get to double where they are, so around 6 exahash. At that point, I think that might be a pretty good valuation for them. Maybe right around, I would say, 3 billion mark, right? So if we use the average here, they would be at $29.08 to about 2.6 billion market cap. That would be still a 5,346% increase. Right now, future hash rate have it at 2.5, but they did say they want to double it next year. So we're looking at around 6 exahash potentially for them. So I think that might be kind of fair for them. DMG is next. They bottomed out at 12 cents here. They're currently at 58 cents as it is. They're up 4.87 multiple. That would be going forward into next year. We're looking at $2.83 with a market cap of 474 million right now. And if we use the average, it'd be at $3.90 or $3.39 with a market cap of 568, which would be a 2,846% increase. And their future hash rate is supposed to be about 2 exahash. So that's basically double where DigiHost is right now. And then I would think that might be pretty close to where they should be probably valued at that point. Maybe a little bit higher from there, but not much farther than that. Okay, Bitfarms bottomed out at 38 cents last year. They're currently at $3.52. That is a 9.26 multiple for them. If we do that again this year, going into 2024, we're looking at a stock price of $32.61. That will get them about to 10 billion. And if we look at the average, we're looking at $20.56, which would be a 6.6 billion market cap. And that still represents 5,409% increase from obviously the year of 2022. And they're supposed to get to 12 that we know of. They have the option to buy more to get to 17 as well, which I would expect them to execute going forward if they can build out the infrastructure and all their locations. So based on that, if we look at some of the something that's comparable to that, Iris is going to be at 3.7. Like I said, I think Iris should be more than that. So Bitfarms getting to maybe about 17. I would think they should be probably maybe closer to 10 billion, I would say, based on this number here. Right now that I'm seeing it. Yeah, I think probably around 10 billion would be probably a better mark for them. Okay, CleanSpark bottomed out at $1.88 here last year. They're currently at $13.43. They're up 7.14x from that. If we We look forward into next year. If they do the same thing, we're looking at $95.94 with a market cap of 17.7 billion. And if we use the average here, we're looking at $78.43 and a market cap of about 14.5 billion on that. That kind of makes sense to me. That's kind of where I was looking at CleanSpark anyways, right around the 70 mark, somewhere around there. So this kind of coincides with that if that works out, that kind of would be it. That would be a 4,171% increase, and the future hash rate is going to be about 20 exahash. Okay, so I think those numbers might be pretty good there, but it all depends on where Bitcoin goes and everything else. Next is going to be Mawson here on the list. Mawson bottomed out at $1.38. They're at $4.28. That's only a 3.1x multiple for them. Going forward, if they repeat that again next year, they're going to be at 1327 and a market cap of 220 million. If we use the average multiple here of 25 or 5.84, then we get to $25 per share, market cap of 416 million. And that would be a 1,811% increase on them. They're only at 1.79 exahash right now. Don't have anything written down for them as far as if they're going to be growing beyond that. So I think this might be a pretty good guesstimate where they might end up at, between somewhere, I would say 416 million and 220 million in market cap, if they can get that right now. I think right now their market cap is 71 million. So yeah, that would kind of make sense for me. TeraWulf bottomed out at 69 cents last year. They're at $2.87. That's a 4.16 multiple for them. $11.84 if we look double it again this next year. And a market cap of 2.8 billion. That would be pretty nice there. And then if we use the average multiple here, that would get us to $16.76. The market cap of roughly 4 billion on that. And that would be an increase of 2,429%. And they're supposed to get to about 8 exahash or something like that going forward. So that would be definitely, I think, doable and probably within range of some of the other ones here that are going to be there as well. Maybe even a little bit higher, I think, maybe on the yeah. Well, we got Hut 8 here at 7 exahash with 9.3 billion. But they also have a larger HODL. TeraWulf does not have a HODL. That could affect it. So yeah, maybe around 4 billion to 5 billion, I think might be kind of fair, right around there somewhere. Okay, next is Sphere 3D. They bottomed out at $1.95. They did a reverse split here, so that's why they were actually lower than that, but they did a reverse split. They're currently at $4.01. They are now, that would be a 2.05 multiple for them. And if they repeat that again, we're looking at $8.23 next year, a market cap of 118 million. And then looking at the average here, that would get them to 23, which would be 336 million. And I don't think that's going to happen. Well, it could, but I don't think so. That would represent a 1,199% increase. And they're currently supposed to get to 1.8 exahash, and we don't have any news about any further developments or further growth for them. So I think somewhere between the 118 million to 336. And if we look at where they are right now, they are at, let's see here, their current market cap is 57 million. So that kind of makes sense a little bit maybe for us. Okay, and I should have just looked over here because there's a market cap right there. Okay, too many data points. Next, Core. Core bottomed out at 9 cents, and that's mainly because they were in bankruptcy. That's why they bottomed out, right? So where they are right now at $1.91, as they're getting close to emerging from bankruptcy, possibly next month sometime, their multiple here is 21.22, right? So this is definitely nowhere near where anybody else is here, but given that they were in bankruptcy, this is kind of what they got. Will they get that again going into next year? I don't know. So let's take a look at the numbers we do have here for them. If they do, that would get them to about $40 per share. Now, we do know that they're going to be doing a reverse split here with the merger, or not the merger, sorry, with the emergence from the bankruptcy. And then they're going to also dilute a little bit, but I just don't know how much. So this is just all theoretical right now. But that would get them to $40.53, market cap of 15.6, with them having about 15.2 exahash. They stated they're going to be buying some ant miners as well. We're not taking that into consideration here. That would be pretty close to where CleanSpark is, with CleanSpark getting to 20 exahash. So I think that might be pretty fair on it. Right around there, maybe, if things work out well and investors forgive them for the bankruptcy. But if we look at the average here, that would get them to only $11.15 and a 4.3 billion market cap. I think that's way too low, especially if they're going to be at 5.2 exahash on that. But it all depends on where they are with shares and how they pay off their debts going forward and things like that. So a lot of unknown variables there. But I think somewhere around, probably, if everything goes well and they're out of bankruptcy, maybe around 15 billion, I think would be a pretty fair number for them. based on what they do have and planning to grow as well. Okay. Stronghold here bottomed out at $4.28. They also did a reverse split here this year. They are now $11.31. That's a 2.64 multiple for them. If they repeat that next year, they would get to $29.89. That will give a market cap of $237 billion. They're at now 90 million right now, or 237 million, sorry, and 90 million right now. They obviously have a lot of debt that they have to pay off for their size of company, and then their operational costs are just way up there. They need to fix that as well. So it might be a little tough for them, but we'll see. If we use the average, right, 5.4, they're looking at $66.05 with a market cap of 525 million. That would be a 1,543% increase from where they ended up at the bottom of 2022, basically. And they're currently at 4 exahash right now. Don't know how they're going to be growing further than this. We do know that they're also going to be doing the carbon capture program as well. So they might get some revenue from that as well. That might offset some things here. It might make things go up for them. Okay, next is Bitdeer. Bitdeer here bottomed out at $10.41 the last year, but I think they just became public as of this year, like April or something like that. So these numbers might not be accurate. I think they went through a SPAC merger to do this. So this number might not be accurate on it. So take this with a grain of salt. That would be only a 1.31 multiple for them for this year, where they are at $13.67 right now. And if they repeat that, they're going to get to $17.85 with market cap of $2 billion roughly. And if we use the average multiple, that would get them to $79.83 with an $8.8 billion market cap, which I think is more in line where they should be. And that would be a 766% increase from where they were. And they're going to be about 7.6 exahash for self-mining, but they also have other operations as well. So remember that as well. Okay. Now, Bitcoin here for the year, they bottomed out, and well, at least in December of 2022, the 27th, they bottomed out. Bitcoin bottomed out at 16.7. Wow, I'm losing my voice. Excuse me while I take a sip of water. Okay. Sorry about that. Bitcoin bottomed out roughly around 15,000 something. But based on December 27th of 2022 last year, that was 16,717. Bitcoin's right now at 42,520. That is a 2.54x increase in Bitcoin price in general. That would get Bitcoin to about 108,000 here based on these numbers. And then if we look at this number here, let's see if that would get us to 248,000 if we use the average multiple for all of these guys. But obviously, if Bitcoin gets 5.84x going, the miner should get better going forward than that. Okay. So that's kind of how the numbers look. Kind of interesting to look at these things. I think some are pretty close. I think some are a little bit off, maybe a little high. Some might be a little bit low as well, based on what we do know about each miner. But we'll see. You know, it's all dependent on where do investors put their really hard-earned cash into. Well, not really investors, not only investors, but in investment firms and hedge funds and all that good stuff, the ETFs. All of that has an effect on the price of all of these miners here. So that is it. Kind of thought this would be kind of interesting to take a look at, and it is. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out tremendously. Spreadsheet, as always, is going to be available to our Patreon members. That is going to be uploaded later on tonight. We still have, I think, 80, well, might have a little bit less, but I think we got around 80 some spots left at the $5 range. After that, it's going to go up in price, and then we'll try to cap it. I'm thinking we're going to try and cap it at about 1,000 members for Patreon, just to keep it somewhat of a small community. We do have the private Discord channel in there as well. So we'll increase prices as we get more and more members on board. So those of you that get on now, early adopters, you guys have a nice discount. But yeah, we'll definitely raise prices up going forward. What else? I think that's it. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Tomorrow's Thursday, and then we got Friday, and I think that's basically the end of the year, more or less. The new year happens from Sunday into Monday of this week. And yeah, it's definitely been a great year so far, which has definitely blown my mind so far. And that is mainly because I didn't expect this to happen until sometime after the halving event. I think a lot of us weren't expecting it. I think a lot of us were shocked by the amount of gains that we're seeing here. And I think that is driven by, one, the BTC transaction fees, two, the spot Bitcoin ETF approval getting closer, and then the Fed obviously being more dovish going into next year, where they're going to possibly lower interest rates as well. That's bringing on more risk on and investing, I think. Okay. But that's it. Let me know what you guys think. Obviously, what are you guys planning on doing for next year? Are you guys planning to buy some more? Are you guys looking to hedge? What are you guys doing for next year with the miners, with Bitcoin in general, or anything else that you guys can think of? Okay, but that's it. I'm going to ramble on otherwise. Thank you so much for coming in to watch this. I do appreciate it greatly. And like I said, if you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe. It helps me out tremendously. And we'll see you guys in the next one. And as always, not financial advice, do your own research on this. So thank you very much. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.